everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited, as you can tell from the huge smile on my face. I am sitting next to one of my all-time favorite cozy mystery writers. I think she is an absolute gem. If you are not reading the Nancy Coco, please do. We've read her for the book club multiple times, and y'all have enjoyed her books each and every single instance. So clearly, she is doing something very right in the world of cozies, and I am so honored that I get to talk to her about them today. So I get to introduce you to the amazing Nancy Coco.
Well, it's so nice to be here. I really appreciate the invitation.
I'm so honored you said yes. I'm really behind with editing things for the podcast because I took some time off for just various reasons, and I was going back to edit content, and guess whose book I was talking about?
Oh, it's amazing. I love that.
So we loved the first book in this series so much. There had to be a podcast episode discussing book 2, and we're just going, okay, we love book 1, but now we love book 2, and we think we love book 2 more than book 1, but we still love book 1. We're just gushing about how much we love book 2 because it was so incredible. So I was listening to it going, yeah, it is incredible, isn't it? So I feel like I'm living in the world of Nancy Coco, which is a wonderful place to be.
Oh, thank you. That's amazing. Unfortunately, they didn't pick up book 3.
No.
I know, because it came out during the pandemic, so the sales weren't very good. But that doesn't mean that because I love it, I'm thinking about self-publishing
Oh, please do.
some more. So, yeah, that's on my list of things to do.
I was going to say, because you don't have any other words to get on the page or any other stories to tell. I was going to say, your to-do list must be astronomical.
Oh, it's long, but it keeps me busy, and I just love doing it.
Just a little busy. I feel like your life must be NaNoWriMo.
Oh.
Like when I see the amount of books you're publishing, the amount of series, the amount of different types of things that you're working on, I'm going, does she sleep at night? I mean, do her characters talk to her? Is that how she's getting all of this done? Because it's so impressive.
Oh, thank you. Yes, my characters do talk to me. And oddly, they tend to come to me when I'm working on one book, then another book. The characters are like, wait, tell my story. And I'm like, no, you have to go. I'm working on this one now.
Oh.
I know, but they wait, so it's patience.
Well, I'm hoping that the characters from this series continue to talk to you because, again, I love book 2. I thought it was exceptionally clever. When it comes to some themes with cozy mysteries, every so often the theme will just sort of be on the cover or referenced, but it has nothing to do with the mystery itself or the owner of whatever shop. The owner will abandon said shop to go sleuthing. You have your themes and you full on embrace them, and I feel like I'm a part of this bee-inspired store. And then you're going to see the bees and their hives, and the hives are part of the story. And it was just so much fun to be just a part of this bee-inspired world, and it was part of the mystery. So it wasn't just the setting, and you felt as if, okay, we're here. You got to experience the bee love and everything else, so I just really enjoyed it. I wanted to shine the sleuthing spotlight on this book because it's so well done. Again, that's why I'm so impressed with you. I'm going, how does her brain work? Because she's checking all the cozy, everything that I'm looking for in the book, you're checking them off. I'm just blown away by how well you do your cozies.
Well, thank you, but this particular book, these are very important, and they've been kind of going away for a variety of reasons. And I talked to a beekeeper, and he's like, well, sometimes the bee hives, they just turn over.
Yeah.
But then there's some talk about, the fungus and different pesticides. So I thought it was really important to just show how wonderful bees are and all the products that they can do. So. And I got to talk to a beekeeper at a farmer's market. Yeah. I was actually living in Oregon at the time. So, yes.
Is that why the setting is what it is?
That's why the setting is Oregon, yes.
Because I love the fact that it's a bee-inspired store. She has the bees actually there for the people who are the customers walking around. They can actually see the bees. But then you also have the beehives on I'm just going to say, a different location within the town. I also love the fact that you actually have her making the crafts as well. For some reason, that struck me because some of the time it's just, oh, our cookies are done. I'm going, but how did you get to the cookies? So you kind of gave us the behind the scenes of the work of the sleuther in addition to solving the mystery of what they do and how they do it.
Yeah, I like to have a full-rounded sleuth. Yeah. So, of course, they're taking the time to do their business and make their things.
Well, speaking of making, again, I think this is also why you're so impressive to me. You have multiple works going on, but they're in very different settings, different professions, different characters. So you said you were inspired by the bee situation, but you said this was also your longest running series.
Yes.
So how did that one come into fruition? Because again, I love reading them and you're working on the next books. I'm so curious.
I grew up in Michigan. So that was a real joy because there are lakes and everything. Mackinac Island is, anybody from Michigan does like the hand, this is the hand, this is where I'm from. But between the two peninsulas is Mackinac Island, and my mom and us, we used to visit it, and it's so quaint. I'm like, oh, I have to do this island. The interesting thing about this particular book is I contacted the Island bookstore before I started, and I asked, well, could you ask your readers what, the heroine should do for a living? And so Fudge Shop Owner was number one, because Mackinac Island is considered the fudge shop capital of the world. And number two was bicycle renter. So, yeah, there are no cars on the island.
I wasn't sure if that was a literary decision or...
Yeah, no, that's absolutely real. If you go there, there are a lot of Victorian bed and breakfasts and Victorian cottages, which are like 4 stories high. And yeah, everybody, you have to take horses or you rent bicycles. So the only 2 motorized vehicles on the island are the ambulance and the fire truck.
All of which come into reference at some point during said series.
Yes, yeah.
But I also love the fact that it's fudge. So I feel as if it's such a specific form of, we're having a bakery cozy, but we're going to take it up a notch and just make it very specific, because I think that just adds a whole new dimension and component, because at one point everyone was doing cupcakes because cupcakes were the big thing, but I'm going, we also have fudge. We can't forget about the fudge.
Yes, and I love fudge. And interestingly enough, there are like multiple stores on Main Street on Mackinac Island, and they demonstrate the fudge making, which is always fun to watch. So, because they have like marble slabs, and they use scrapers to mix it, and yeah, it's really fun.
I feel as if you were the first person that I read where fudge was we're starting with the fudge.
Well, of course, I love chocolate.
Well, I mean, that doesn't hurt, obviously.
Right.
We love our sweets.
Yes.
Because they also will put the candy wrappers, but you don't know exactly what's in the candy wrapper. With this one, we have the cozy companions. We have 2 different, we have the cat and the dog. Then we have a wonderful cat over here. So you're also doing the cozy companions as well as the food. So again, you're checking off all the different boxes when it comes to cozy. So I was curious how you decided on your cozy companions and how you integrated them into the book, because again, I'm an animal lover, and I especially love our animal cozies, and yes. I love your animal cozies.
Thank you. Yes, with the fudge shop, I started off with Nell, who is based on my own bee shampoo.
Yeah.
Who's just absolutely a doll. So I can, put her actions really accurately in there. And then when I wanted to add a cat, I actually did it like a cat that we got at our house one time. So my husband had been standing at the door with the door open, and a cat just ran into the house. So, I mean, it ran into the back bedrooms and hid. So we're like, oh my gosh, it's a cat. And I said, what? My husband's like, a cat. So we couldn't find the owner, and that cat became our cat because it picked us clearly.
I was going to say, it found you, not the other way around. Which is how you always think of lost animals finding homes or families or people to care for them. My teacup Maltese, when I saw the white dog on the cover, I was going, oh, there's a white dog. I was so excited. Then I loved it for other reasons, obviously, but having the animal on the cover certainly didn't hurt for me.
Yeah, and I love Maltese. They're so cute.
Oh, clearly I agree. Absolutely. My little boy was my everything. So I wanted to ask, because you write across the board when it comes to cozies, and you have so many characters you have to account for across the different narratives. I was curious if there was a favorite cozy theme or trope that you enjoy writing the most.
One of the tropes that I really love is involving the seniors in the community.
Oh,
And I love that because they're generally, you know, on top of all the rumors in a small town. And and so they can do like these hints and tips. They know the people, like she might pass a house and one of the seniors will go, oh yeah, that's the Northrup's house now, but the Jules used to live there and they had 5 kids, and you know they're able to tell these wonderful community stories. So I really love it involving them as well as the animals.
that's a great answer. As soon as you're saying, well, yeah, that is true, and it does help with the story of, hey, here's a clue, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
What exactly was the first cozy mystery you decided to write, or did you publish the first one you wrote? Because I'm curious, what was the spark of, oh, this is a really great cozy topic?
Well, actually, I was diagnosed with celiac disease early on. And I was creating my own, because the food at that time was not very good
Yeah.
for celiac. So I was creating my own recipes and publishing them on a blog. And a friend of mine said, oh, you need to write a cozy mystery and put these recipes in it. And so I did, and I set it. It was a whole lot of fun. I set it in the, you know, fictional town of my actual hometown, with different names of streets and so on. And it was so cool because I actually created a gluten-free bakery. Now it was set in Kansas, to high school, and the problem is Kansas is the bread basket of America, so they grow wheat. And here she is with this gluten-free, you know, non-wheat bakery. So there's some community conflict there. And I had a lot of fun with it. And I published it. It was my first cozy I wrote, and
it was the first one you got published.
Yeah, it was the first one. Berkley picked it up. The title was Gluten for Punishment.
That's so encouraging, though, because when it comes to cozy mysteries, even writing in general, you'll hear, oh, I had to write 2 or 3 to learn. The first one didn't get picked up, but my second one did. But your first one was the one that came into being.
Yes, I got really lucky with that. I started out with sweet historical mysteries.
Mm-hmm.
So they were kind of short and very sweet, so there's not a lot of, you know, everything's behind closed doors, similar to a cozy mystery. And at the time I was putting a lot of mysteries in those books as well, so it seemed just like a natural fit.
Oh, absolutely. No wonder it comes naturally to you, because that's what you are interested in creating.
Yeah, but I just love the cozy so much better. I love the tropes, I love the small towns, I love the communities, and you know, the little puzzles that you get to put into them.
I mean, that might be why I enjoy your books so much, because you enjoy writing them. They speak to your heart, so since you love them, that love shines through to the reader. Again, I'm very impressed with the mysteries that you create, because when it comes to mysteries, there are a lot of different moving puzzle pieces that you have to account for. And as someone who writes as frequently as you do, I'm going, okay, you made this puzzle, now you're doing this puzzle. How is this puzzle different than this puzzle? I don't know how your brain creates these red herrings and yet having them make sense, and yet also having to keep track of them on your end. So I'm curious how you approach crafting the mystery time and time again, because you still have to keep it fresh. You still have to have a character that makes sense as the sleuther, and somehow you consistently do that. And every single time I'm going, wow, she did it again.
Oh, thank you. For me, it really stems from the character themselves and the community that's going on around them. And I would not want to make it similar. I would get bored. So for me, it's always fun to think of something new. And lately I've been watching true crime, and every now and then I'll go, oh, that would be a good one. But I am very careful. I never put like a true crime story in my puzzles. And the reason for that is, there are families attached to that, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to, do that and upset families, but they do spark ideas.
I was going to say, as inspiration, that's important too.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite true crime podcast or TV show or documentary that's been on your mind or on your watch list?
Oh my gosh. Yes, of course. Well, I grew up with Murder, She Wrote, so all the Murder, She Wrote, I love that, and I'll watch that.
The Murder, She Wrote?
Cabot Coast, yes! And I watched them over and over again, and I always wanted.
I liked you.
I always wanted to be her, because I thought, oh my gosh, that would be so much fun. So, yeah.
I mean, when I realized Angela Lansbury, I was like, oh, wait a second, this is the best thing ever.
Yes.
Murder, She Wrote is the go-to for me as well. But I am curious, because you are so prolific, if there's another theme or trope that's on your mind, or you're going, oh, down the line, I'm going to do a series about X, Y, and Z.
Yes. I have a couple of ideas that I'm looking at. One of that, of course, is a pet groomer series that is mobile. So with my Bishapu Gracie, because she'd get really nervous at the pet groomers, I would bring a mobile pet groomer out, and I thought how cool they could do like all different kinds of pets.
Yeah.
So dogs, if cats need a little, something happens to them, birds, a lot of different pets that people have. And that gives them a reason to go to different houses.
Yeah. You don't know what's happening across the street or in the next backyard over. Something fascinating and mysterious could be occurring.
Exactly. So that one's on the back of my mind. I always like to research and make sure that I'm not stepping on somebody else's, series.
Yeah.
And there are so many wonderful different series, and I'll research and go, oh, that one's taken. Like, so, yeah.
It's nice that you're thoughtful like that instead of going, oh, well, mine's going to be different because of this, and yet there's still going to be overlap because of, oh, we're doing a bookmobile, and all of a sudden this bookmobile is very similar to this series over here.
Yes.
So I like that you're taking other people's feelings and other writers into account, because I don't think that's always the case.
Oh, thank you.
You're just a nice person.
Well, I just think it's important also for the reader. You don't want to keep reading quilting mysteries over and over, no matter how well they're written or different points of view that different authors have.
Yeah.
And recently I took up weaving. And I mean, I love weaving, and it hit me that I'm always weaving stories.
Yeah.
So I took up like actual weaving, and I have a little loom. It's like
the jacquard loom.
I'm sorry?
Jacquard, the loom.
Yes.
You're like, she actually knows this, or you're on.
I love it. So I've made like several different kinds of scarves and shawls, and right now I'm working on placemats. And
how did this come into be your craft?
I know. I've always wanted. When I was in college, I read somebody had been doing a loom for their art class, and it was like one of those big looms where they're like making materials, and I thought, oh, that would be so awesome. But then things got in the way. And so I was finally able to pick up a craft like that, and it's great.
It's amazing, because you hear, oh, I knit. Nobody goes, I'm working on my loom today.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I was going to say, I don't think you posted about that on Instagram, or if you have,
No, I haven't.
Okay, I was going to say, otherwise I missed that post.
No, and the reason I haven't is just because it's kind of like separate from.
Yeah, you don't always have to post everything you're doing.
Yeah, and that way people won't criticize what I'm doing. I'm completely amateur at that, so.
Yeah, but as long as it makes you happy, that's all that matters.
It does.
But now you got me curious if there's another crafting mystery going on in that brain, or if there's another sort of maybe a trope or another sort of character or characteristic you're going, oh, I want to incorporate someone who's like this.
Actually, in Gluten-free Mysteries, Baker Street Mysteries, I had a character, her name was Grandma Ruth, and she was hilarious. She would drive her scooter down the middle of the streets in the small town and everywhere. And I thought, how fun would that be to put her, in another setting? And I don't know if you've ever seen this, but I've actually seen like scooter racing in the street between. See, they have a lot of fun.
I haven't. I want to see that now.
Yeah, it's. The first time I saw it, I was like, "Oh, that's hilarious!"
You're going. There's a scene writing itself right there. Let me take my notes. Oh, how did she use it again? What was the motion like?
Yes, yeah, and I do a lot of people watching, and I listen to their dialogue, and those shirts that say, "Be careful, you might be in my next book."
I was gonna say, so I can always buy you that mug on Etsy because I see quite a few of them of, oh, be careful if you annoy me because I'm a writer and I might just have to kill you off.
And I have.
I'm sure it was very cathartic though.
Yes.
Well, because that kind of actually was one of the questions when I was drafting of how did she do her research, because you mentioned that you were already creating recipes, so you didn't have to go online or go find recipe books or go find the chefs or bakers, but you had to go interview beekeepers. So
yes.
How do you form the connections, or how do you figure out, oh, this is where I can find answers, or oh, I need to learn about this type of poison or this type of murder weapon? I'm curious because again, you have so many that you have to account for,
yes.
and a lot of details that you need to, well, you include a lot of details in your books. So I'm just curious how you as the writer do that, because for you, clearly it's just not like you're just not going on Google because you have far too much knowledge in the books. So I know you're doing much more than reading a couple blog posts, which I'm sure you do, but you go the extra mile. So I'm just curious what sort of steps you take when you're forming, based on your puzzles, I'm going to think you have some sort of plot ideas.
Yes, I do.
I was going to ask you about being a plotter or pantser later, but when you know that this is the profession, how do you go about figuring, oh, this is how I'm going to research X?
A lot of times I will look for people in the community who do that. When I went back to Mackinac Island before the series, my research was actually to go from shop to shop to shop to shop, and I bought fudge from everyone, and I watched each different demonstration, and it was a lot of fun. So I was able to make connections up there, and talk to them about how it's done, and it was great. It was great. And I've been there like in the spring before the season, and you actually do, everybody's painting the outsides of the building and freshening things up, so that's just a fun detail.
Do you think it helps that you were familiar with the locations, or you knew people beforehand who could introduce you to, oh, here's someone making the fudge that you might be interested in? Because as writers, I think a lot of people are naturally introverts. So I'm just curious, when it comes to asking people about their professions, how you sort of take your writerly lens and make those sort of connections that actually help you with the book, because you asked the questions clearly that lent themselves to the details, because they did make a difference to me as the reader. I was learning about fudge. I never knew about the process. Now I feel like I do.
Yeah. Well, I was very lucky. I got a journalism degree. So, of course, I had to go out and interview people and find stories. So that lent itself to, some credibility.
Yeah.
I decided not to be a journalist because I'd rather make up what people say than actually quote what people say. I don't know. It was just more fun to write the stories based on what was going on in my head. So there's that, and I think when you approach people who are doing their jobs and you're just curious and you ask them about them, then they're very happy to talk, and they'll give you a business card and say, email me anytime. So that's really great. But when I first started, it was difficult to like, hello, police department, can I, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because that was something I was wondering about for myself too, because there's something I was wondering about and trying to figure out on my end because I've been working on a certain manuscript and I'm going, if I went to the local police and I asked them about this, would they just arrest me assuming I'm about to commit murder? Or am I going to end up on some sort of watch list or NSA list? What's going on? Like, am I going to put like a red flag on my face?
Right. Yeah, and I'm always like, oh, if the FBI got a hold of my computer, they're seeing, some research on it.
I mean, I was Googling something about like how much of X will kill you.
Yeah.
I'm going, someone somewhere must be flagging what I'm typing into Google.
It feels like that. It really does. I know we're really paranoid, but when you go in the store and you look at something but don't purchase it, and then there's an ad for it on your phone afterwards, and it does make you a little paranoid today. So yeah, there's that. But usually there's a community liaison for the police.
Yeah.
So you just call the non-911 number and you say, I'm a writer. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they'll let you do a ride along so you can see what they're actually doing and what that's like.
You've done this?
Yes, I have. And it was a little scary, but it was a lot of fun. So yeah, no murders while I was there. Thank goodness. So
this might be why I connect to you so well when it comes to the books is I was really interested in journalism. I wanted to be a journalist. I was on my middle school paper, high school paper. I was the editor of my senior year. And I remember when I was a senior, I did a couple of things at the Boston Globe. And they put me with one of the photographers. And he drove me to one of the worst areas that you could ever live, hoping something would go wrong so he could take a photo of it.
Oh my God.
I was like, that's the only ride along I ever did. And I think it scared me.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, when you're in areas that you're not used to being in, no matter who you are, it can be scary.
Because of how my own brain works, this might be an odd question to ask, but when you're doing a ride along or something like that, are you taking notes? Are you just observing the whole time? Like, are you trying to take in the surroundings? Or are you trying to go, oh, no, oh, no, oh, I'm going to film this as we're going? How do you make the most of the opportunity?
Well, I'm very lucky. I have a really good memory. Like, it's almost photographic. I say almost because I'm not one of those people who are actually photographing.
They have that memory where they know every single thing that they've ever encountered.
Yes, yeah. So, but I pay really close attention, and I pay attention to the people and what's actually going on.
Yeah.
Then I go home and I just write out all my notes, and then I will double check, with the person I was riding along with to make sure that I didn't miss anything or it looks very authentic.
Because I'm also thinking how much time you're investing when it's not even the words on the page. The research alone sounds like it adds up time-wise.
It does, but to me, that's the fun part.
You're getting to experience something new.
Yes, yeah, and meeting new people. I really think that ordinary people should be thought of, and I think they should be important, and so for me it's like getting to know ordinary people and being able to shine a spotlight on that.
You just reminded me of The Office. I don't know if you've seen the show where finding beauty in the everyday, finding beauty in the lives that most people probably have doing office work for a company like this. Yes. You just reminded me of the show's final episode, the finale, when they were talking about something similar. I'm going, this is again why I'm relating to her so much. But I also love the fact, though, even if they are ordinary people, they are doing extraordinary things. They are solving these murders, and you do have someone who's being an entrepreneur and taking initiative. So again, when it comes to normal people versus non-normal, you think superhero is the special person, but they're taking their normal lives and they're trying to improve them. So they're not just settling, they're doing their own things, they're moving forward. So even though they're normal, I still think of them as extraordinary.
Oh, well, thank you. I think that people all move towards dreams. Mm-hmm. That the dreams that you had as a kid are the goals that you have now.
Yeah.
So I think that's really what speaks to me and speaks through my characters.
Well, I also love the fact that you have a female entrepreneur, you have a female who's living her dreams, who's putting herself first. I think that's also something that's very important.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I like to have strong women. Mm-hmm. And I also like to craft a story where people feel when they're done, I could do that. I could, you know, reach my dream or become an entrepreneur or, you know, anything like that.
You had me going on the Cornell extension program because they have a bee class, and I'm going, why am I even looking this up? Like, there's no bees around me. I lived in DC at the time, and I'm going, I can't have a hive of bees, but I really wanted one at one point just because of your book.
That's awesome. Yeah, and there are actually bees everywhere because, you know, if you're in a city, people have flower pots and those sorts of things that attract pollinators.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's kind of fun.
Like, I did the literal interpretation of, oh, you can do this. I'm going to be a beekeeper, but again, you meant it as, oh, you can go live your dreams, and if you want to open up your own candle store or your own crafting store or something, I think that is inspiring as well. But you also made bees very attractive and fudge shops very attractive.
Thank you.
So the literal interpretation and then the inspirational interpretation.
Well, something that reminds me, you know, you said Cornell. I recently got an app. It's from Cornell. A bird app. I know I'm going down like this nerdy thing, but it might become a series. But the app is really interesting because it'll identify birds. And, you know, when I moved to California, I saw these birds everywhere that I'd never seen before. And I asked the locals, what kind of bird is that? And nobody could answer. I learned it was a towhee, which I'd, you know, never heard of. And so in my travels, I like to just
There's only one bird series that I know of, and I know of that because during one of the previous Cozy Mystery Book Club live streams, there was a character who was only in one scene, and she was the bird watcher, and I loved her, and everyone else loved her in this book. We're going, we need more of this. We need bird watching Cozy.
Yes. Well, the cool part about this
I know you have the readership.
Oh, thank you. Well, the cool part about this app is it also has like an audio. And so if I'm out and I'm hearing a bunch of birds, I'll hit that app, record. And as it's recording, it'll tell me what birds are actually singing. And, you know, I could get 7 or 8 and new birds I'd never heard of. And so the last time I did it, I thought, well, what if I play this bird song back? So I play, will it come, you know, and I can see it, this bird I've never seen before. So I play the bird song back, and this bird like dive bombs my head. So I said, okay, I won't do that.
You're like, I don't want to be Tippy Hedger, thank you very much.
Yeah. And my daughter was like, how do you know you're not angering the bird by playing that particular call? And I'm like, okay, I won't do that anymore. I'll just listen.
I was going to say, it sounds like you have a lot of different books that you could be writing. I'm going, no wonder you're always writing cozy mysteries. You have so many things going on in your head of, oh, this would be a good idea, and this one, and that one.
Yeah.
Because now I want the bird watcher one. I'm going, okay, like 2025 maybe?
Yes, that could be a lot of fun.
I'm going, Kensington, where are you?
Kensington is a wonderful publisher.
Oh, they're fabulous there. They're so great about setting the arcs and keeping up with the community itself, and they clearly adore their authors, and you always have amazing book covers. I love the covers that you have.
Yes, well, I've got a new cover out here, which for the fudge shop, there's actually a county fair, and so it's just a really cute fair piece with the dog, of course, in the calico cat. So
I love the book covers. They make me so happy because yours are also very colorful with the great titles. So you just always went over my heart. Is there something you want cozy mystery readers to know about you or your books that they might not already be aware of? A fun factoid or two?
Oh my gosh, that is a difficult question. Fun factoid. Well, fun factoid about me is actually I'm a military vet.
Really?
Yes, I was in the Air Force, and I was electronics engineer, and before my journalism degree, and I actually got to work on like satellite equipment. So we were doing some secret things, and they're not secret anymore. It was a long time ago, but it was just, that was kind of fun.
Wow.
So yeah, that's a fun fact.
I love how you're going, I was doing military, we have journalism, and then we have cozy mysteries. I mean, no wonder you have so many different ideas to pull from because your background is that as well. It's so diverse.
Yeah, well, I get bored easy. I get bored, so, I try new things.
I like it though because it gives you, again, it keeps you invested and interested. And I'm also going very smart woman over here. That's very impressive.
Thank you.
Where can cozy mystery readers find you and learn about your books? Is there somewhere you really want them to check out?
Oh yes, I would love you to check out my my website, and I've got 2 names that will link you to that website, and I have like all my books scrolling across the bottom, and that would be nancyjcoco.com and nancyjparra.com, and you can also find me on Facebook, both Nancy Coco and Nancy Parra, and my third name, which was Nell Hampton, and Nell Hampton was a lot of fun. Those books I actually got to set in England, and so she was the cook, the private cook for Wills and Kate when their babies were, little before they got bigger. So you can tell it was a while ago. The first title is Hail to the Queen. So
That's awesome.
that was a lot of fun. Anyway, that was a fun series.
Thank you for taking time out of your Malice experience to chat with me. I'm so appreciative of you. And for everybody who's watching and listening, thank you so much. Please add her books to your TBR. I promise you will not regret it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for having me.